So here's a tweet I put up back on the 2nd of April, and it's about the federal government. It's a little blurry. So, the federal government isn't God. In a country with 50 states and a family of territories, each with their own local government, it's important to remember that while we are all united, we are also independent. The federal government are the parents, and states are like children. So, the federal government isn't God. I know I talked earlier in the video about this little thing called the modern religion of institutions, state, media, and academia. So we do have a tendency to place faith over reason. We tend to use our, let our emotions take hold of us and set logic aside. We might appeal too much to ethos and pathos versus logos, speaking in elementary philosophical terms. And some may say, they may believe that the federal government has all the answers, that they just control everything. It's like your parent, the endless piggy bank. And the reality is, in the United States of America, we got 50 states and a family of territories. And each of these states has its own individual agency, and their own laws, their own codes, their own people, their own culture. We have a great balkanization in this country. It's just baked in. Across state lines, different states have different vibes, different, beliefs in some cases, different politics. And, much of it can be, of course, geographical in terms of how it's done, geological in that some environments are more hot than others, and they have different hot, cold, different kinds of environments that cause different political circumstances, different needs for money and resources. So, in a country with 50 states and a family of territories, each with their own local government, so like children, if you look at states and territories like children, if you're a parent and you're watching this, my child, I feel like they're a part of me and I'm part of them, but ultimately they're their own individual entity. And if they do something wrong, it reflects on how I taught them as a parent, but at the same time, it is their choice. They've been given the opportunity, they've been trained, they've been taught from a young age of how to act, but they ultimately have to choose. We have to do our good parenting job, and then of course it's all up to the child to obey, to be an obedient son or daughter. Now that situation, that paradigm is different with the country. So I use the term parent-child relationship. And, if you're looking at a tree, Orlando, again, we talked about Orlando's point earlier in the video. We have this thing that I came up with called the pedant tree. Pedantry. When people get pedantic, I call it the pedant tree. But you have this tree where, like, at the top there's the parent, and then if you have 5, sub objects, it's their children. If you work in, data processing, data entry, databases, you'll know all about parent-child relationships. So that's kind of closer to the framing that I'm using here for parent-child, with the federal government being the parent and the states being the children. I'm not trying to infantilize anybody here. So their local government makes choices about how to allocate resources, what is more important. They know what to ask the federal government for if they need assistance. They know what to ask other states for. But the federal government is just this overarching entity, and then the states and territories do their own thing. So it's important to remember that while we are all united, we are also independent. So just like if you're in a family, or you're in a job or in a group of any kind, you're in a collective. Yes, we're all united We are all 7+ billion of us united as human beings, and then there's people united into their own different subgroups, whatever they might be, however you might want to characterize them. But we're also independent. We all have individual agency. We all have our own window on the world, our own needs, wants, goals, intentions, and our own approach to reality. And states have the same situation. States, the United States of America, every state has their own local government, their own governor, their own legislature, their own people in charge that make decisions. So while it's important that the federal government do have some control, they are able to pass laws, I do believe very strongly in states' rights. Like, I think it's a great thing that states are able to decide what their laws should be, because it gives people an option. Say if you don't like the way things are in Vermont, you can move to New Hampshire, or vice versa. Those are so similar, that's a bad example. But you have the option of moving around the country. You're still in the same country, but you can choose which sort of balkanized state, one of the 50 states, has the culture that you like, and the kind of jobs, the kind of climate that you like. And I feel like that's very important. I do hit that point that the federal government are the parents and states are like children. So if a child needs something, they go, wah, wah, when they're really young. Or if they're older, like a teenager, they might go, hey, Mom and Dad, I want to get that new PlayStation 5 to play The Last of Us 2, which hopefully will come out after coronavirus is over. But maybe it won't be coming out because it was delayed indefinitely. Indefinitely! Words are like violence. Oh my God. Will you come out already? Ellie! Ellie! Little Last of Us reference for you there. So the federal government is responsible, but they can't all the blame for everything that happens in this country. There are so many levels. If it's like a parent and a child, if you have a child, a little girl or a little boy, or a little whatever gender they might be out of the 760, and they do something wrong, yeah, it reflects on you as a parent, but at the same time, you're not the one that spray painted that car pink. That wasn't you. That was your child. They made a decision. They're the ones that decided to go to school for art history when maybe they should have taken economics. I don't know. They wanted it. And now, of course, as a parent, you do have to take on some responsibility. You have to make sure that they're okay if you're a good parent. But I do think it's important to remember the federal government isn't God. State is a modern religion, but I'm agnostic. No judgment here. If you happen to believe in the state, if you listen to the government, if you listen to President Trump or President Erdogan or Macron or Trudeau, whoever it might be, and you believe everything they say, like a child believes their parents, that's up to you. If it makes you feel better, we don't judge here on this channel, but we do like to try to keep a little bit of a critical eye, a critical thought in mind about everything. I say it's best to question everything, even your parents. But just remember that, we have an awesome country. Frankly, we have an awesome country. We have an articulate country. Articulated because we have 50 different subdivisions that all have slightly different values. And all of this is contained under this one great big American flag. American values, love, life, liberty. And I just want to make everyone just a reminder that states do their own thing. And notably during this time of crisis, the states have a responsibility because they're not little children. They are full-grown adult children. All of us we have adults running everything in this country. And they need to try their best to do a good job and not lay the blame at the feet of everybody else, notably the federal government. Because the federal government, while it's important, can't do everything. And I think that some people tend to think that there's just this massive authority figure that is omnipotent and resources are infinite and it's omnipresent. And I'm like, no, it's a group of people. Institutions are people. Okay? The state, the media, academia, they're all people. We're just people trying to do our best. And we have to work together and not rest on our laurels, not put too much faith in people, but work together. Not too much faith, but we have to make sure we're doing a reasonable amount to help each other, and we have to think harder about what we need and what the best way forward might be. So, in a country with 50 states and a family of territories, each with their own local government, it's important to remember that while we are all united, we are also independent. So, independent commentary here on Jeff Tidwell's channel. And that's it for the video today. Thank you very much for watching. We really appreciate it. If you enjoy the content, please do like and subscribe. If you didn't enjoy the content, leave a downvote. It really helps with the algorithm. And I'd love to hear your thoughts and observations below. I am, of course, at RealJeffTidwell on Twitter, and I'm also on Gab, Minds, Telegram, Parler, and Instagram. If you're not watching this on YouTube, you're watching it on BitChute. Thank you again very much for making it this far.